Howdy y'all, it's W. Happy Easter. So I see this question a lot in comment sections. I see different creators asking how anyone has ever found Margaret, aka your favorite villain, credible. And let me break it down for you real quick on how she gained any credibility on this app whatsoever. Okay, so what Margaret does is she befriends, and I use the word befriend extremely fucking loosely with that one. She associates herself with other creators. She has the other creators up in her box. She, seems friendly enough with them. They talk about different things. They chat it up for some time, and it could be a month, it could be 6 months, it could be a year. And then all of a sudden, Margaret finds something wrong with them. All of a sudden, they've done something. Oh, they're a liar, they're a scammer, they're a thief. When in all reality, they're not. But Margaret has to create some type of drama so that way she can make herself seem like a better person than the other woman, or again, like she's more credible, and she holds herself accountable by keeping those she is, quote, friends with accountable. But what people don't realize is those women, in all actuality and in reality, have done nothing wrong at all. And I want you guys to think about this, okay? Margaret has a long list of victims. Legitimate fucking victims of her harassment, stalking, defamation, slander, you name it, it's happened. And I want you to think about for a second any other creator that you know of that has that many women or people that they have fallen out with over lying or scamming or stealing. Go ahead, name 3, I'll wait. You won't find 3. Do you know why? Because Margaret makes up these claims as she goes to make you trust her. And why does she want your trust, you ask? Because if she doesn't have the trust of you, she can't swindle you out of thousands of dollars. And again, what better way to gain your trust than calling out her own, quote, friends? And again, I'm not just talking about one, I'm not just talking about 2. I'm talking about myself, Sober, Brownie, Elle, Magic Mama Jess, Ashley, aka Ashy Cat. The list just goes on and on and on and on. And then on top of lying about these other women, she sprinkles in a little bit of awareness on top of that. Oh, and let us not also forget that she fucked over Psycho Bunny and Naps too, as well as Chrissy. Psycho Bunny and Chrissy were 2 of her, quote, best friends, and she was real quick to fuck them over. And I'll tell you just a little bit about what she did to me. So almost a year ago, almost to the day, I found out that I was being stalked in real life by women from this app. 3 main ones. I'm not going to get into their names. If you've been around, then you know exactly who they are. Now, during this time that all this was happening, Villain was on vacation from TikTok. I never involved her in any of this, never mentioned her name, never brought her up in any way, shape, or form. Because, like I've always said, I'm a grown-ass woman. I don't need anyone's help or permission to do shit that I want to do. Well, the shit got escalated and went way the fuck out of control into past fucking psychotic level with them. And one of the women that was involved happened to be local to me. Well, one day I'm sitting at home and I get a text message. Hey, so-and-so would like to talk to you. And what did the lady that was local to me say? W, I will turn over all of the evidence that I have against the women that were stalking you, but in return, I need you to drop all the local charges against me. Done. Say less. Went within like 10 minutes of that conversation to Walmart, bought a flash drive, dropped it in her mailbox. Court was, I think, 1 or 2 days later maybe. She brought said flash drive to court with her. I told the judge, Your Honor, I no longer wish to pursue charges against Miss So-and-so because she has agreed to turn over evidence that I need for my federal case against the women involved. Again, judge says, hey, say less. We proceeded with the rest of the court hearing, to which I was granted a restraining order. And why was I granted that restraining order? Because I had factual fucking evidence that I was being stalked and harassed in real life. Now you say, W, what does that have to do with villain? Well, when Margaret came back from her little vacation from TikTok, she asked me what had been going on. And I told her, and she said, holy shit, I had no idea they were doing that to you. Why didn't you tell me? To which I responded, well, Margaret, because I'm grown and I can fight my own battles. So I continued to fight my own battles. Did a GoFundMe, raised some money, paid my attorney with said money. It was about that time that I had a kitten that was ready to go to her new home. And whose home was that, you ask? That was Margaret, aka your favorite villain. I am the one she got baby villain from. Well, when Margaret showed up to meet me to get baby Villy, John had driven her. John, the ex that she claimed she didn't have anything to do with, that she had a permanent lifelong restraining order against. Well, we took a picture. John was in the background of it. And I was already off the app at the time that this information came out, okay? I had already deleted my YouTube and my TikTok account. Well, word got out on the TikTok streets that John was the one that drove her to meet me and pick up the cat. I was blamed for that, even though W was not the one that told Marge's secret. Because W doesn't give a fuck who anyone is with. It's not W's business. W doesn't care. And instead of just asking me, Kelly, did you tell my secret that no one was supposed to know? She threw me under the bus and ran over me 20 more times with a fucking Mack truck. God, you gotta love a cunt. So what did she do, you ask? Well, Margaret decided to tell everyone that my GoFundMe was fraudulent, that I didn't have an attorney, and I had made up all of the allegations of stalking and harassment, even though Margaret had been privy to accessing those files and the evidence that I had, as well as admitting herself that she was on a phone call when I was in a meeting with my attorney. So, Margaret, if I made all of that up and I never hired an attorney and never had an attorney, were you lying then or are you lying now? Alex, I'll take now for $500. So after 6 months, I decided to come back to the app because I had had enough of hearing my fucking name dragged through the mud. And what did Margaret do, you ask? She blackmailed me and tried to get me to leave the app again, saying that she was going to do this, that, and third to me unless I left TikTok. I didn't leave. And she has continued to slander and defame me almost every day since. But ask yourself, if I'm a scammer and I'm a thief and I stole people's money like she said, do thieves and scammers give refunds? No, they don't. And it wasn't GoFundMe that gave the refund because I sent everything to GoFundMe and GoFundMe didn't find my fundraiser fraudulent. Hence why I know only one person received their money back, and that's because I never collected her money, and I think it was like $50. And I don't remember who that was from, but I had already deleted my fundraiser and didn't even have access to it. And then months later, they told me they refunded the $50 to her. No, these are refunds that came out of my pocket, even though I had already paid the attorney the money that I raised for my GoFundMe. I still refunded people out of my own pocket, money that I could not afford to refund, but I did it anyway because it just wasn't that fucking important to sit there and continue to fucking go through that. But do you think that mattered? No, because the first one that got her refund, Tracy Iowa, is still lying about it to this day. She says she never received a refund. Yes, you did. So again, you ask how Margaret gained her credibility. It's only backs of women like me that she's fucked over. So keep that in mind when you blindly follow someone on TikTok.